thank you to our sponsors, K. Flynn Insurance, elect Bruce Becker for the Lincoln County Fire Board, and the Crafty Midwestern Mommy for their continued support of the Lincoln County Podcast. Hey guys, welcome to the Lincoln County Podcast. We are excited to have you with us today. We have another great guest joining us in the studio today from Lincoln County to talk about what she has and her products. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I'm going to turn it on over to you.
Hello. Thank you, Laura LaMarca with Wellness Palooza, and I'm actually a certified cannabis coach. I got into this business because I was a patient myself. I have lupus, I have fibromyalgia, spinal stenosis, degenerative disc, and 5 years ago I was on 13 prescriptions. My doctor was getting ready to add a 14th prescription,
Wow.
and I just said, I can't do this. I have a pill tray like my grandma, and I'm 50, and so I asked him for my medical marijuana card, and I qualified, and it was the most miserable experience of my life. I didn't understand what I was doing. At the time, we lived in Illinois, so you had to be fingerprinted and background checked, so they made you feel like you were doing something wrong, and then I got my card and I just went to the dispensary. Well, apparently you're not supposed to do that either. You have to register and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, I got my card. No, that's not good enough. And it was just very frustrating. And then when I got to the dispensary, I spent thousands of dollars on products and I was still hurting. And I told my husband, I said, I'm missing something here. I'm missing a key factor. And so I did some research and I found out there was a program to become a certified cannabis coach. And so I told my husband, I said, I think this is what I need to do. And he's like, I think you've been smoking a little too much of the devil's lettuce and you're crazy. And I said, no, I really believe that. Well, one of the first things that I learned in my certification is everybody's body has an endocannabinoid system. Mm-hmm. And I actually have it in our education book, so you can kind of follow along with it. But what happens in your endocannabinoid system is comprised of CB1 and CB2 receptors. And God makes our body that way. And I always tell people, God makes our body this way, and then he makes a plant. So we really never needed all this man-made intervention, but some people pay a lot of money to make us think we do.
Oh, for sure.
So what happened is when you start introducing cannabis into the system properly, these receptors start talking to each other. And I'm a lot older than you, but when I was in school, we learned about homeostasis. And I don't know if you've ever heard of that word.
I remember the word. I couldn't tell you what it is.
Well,
I didn't pay attention much in school.
It's basically that your body has the ability to heal itself. And so that's what happens when these receptors start talking to each other. They're like, hoo-hoo. You're going along, let's say, and your blood sugar spikes up to 200. Your endocannabinoid system knows that. It stops what it's doing, reverses, regulates out your blood sugars, and keeps going. And we didn't even know it happened. So I told my husband, I'm like, that's the key right there. That's how you people get healthy. And he's like, what? And I said, no, I really believe that. And so I went to my doctor and I said, I want to get off my medication. He said, Laura, that's just not possible. You got this and blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, I think it is possible. And I said, tell me what you know about the endocannabinoid system. Well, he was a DO versus an MD. So he smiled and I was like, so you know about this, but you don't tell your patients? And he didn't really have much to say. And I just said, can you help me? That's all I'm asking. I just need help because I do think I can get off of this medication. At the time when I was on that, I was also a type 2 diabetic on metformin. I had migraines. I had to give myself an injection in my leg every month. I had high blood pressure, high cholesterol. I was 70 pounds heavier. And I said, I just think that there's a better way. And so he agreed to help me, and it took a year, but I got off all that medication.
Wow, that's awesome.
And the reason I got off that medication is so many times when you go to the dispensary or you talk to your buddy, whatever, everybody knows everything about cannabis. And they try to give you a higher percentage of THC. Well, someone that's suffering from chronic pain like me, that's the worst thing you can do. You need a low THC but a high CBD. And so I started experimenting, I guess. I was made myself a guinea pig, and my daughter and I would pull up the Leafly app, which kind of talks about the different strains and what they do and what their benefits are. Because back when I was in high school and we got high, it's just not like that anymore. It's a science now, and it's amazing because they can pinpoint. So in the cannabis plant, there's 100 cannabinoids, and that's your CBD, your THC, your CBG, CBN, CBC. There's all these different cannabinoids, okay? Well, what happened was they started isolating these cannabinoids and researching them specifically. That's why we know CBD controls inflammation, it controls anxiety. CBG regenerates cell growth, regenerates bone growth. So I was like, okay, let me start figuring this out. And I started just graphing things and charting things. And I started realizing how this was all coming together, how it was working. And I just started ticking off prescriptions, taking them away. And my doctor's like, I do have to say, I'm pretty impressed with this. We got rid of the muscle relaxers, pain meds first because they didn't work. And then it just kind of went from there. Now I don't have type 2 diabetes anymore. I ditched the metformin. My A1C levels stay good. My blood sugars stay good. And it's just really cool.
Well, and I think one of the problems is too that people try something. Like you said, they get information from their buddy. Oh, go try this. And they try it. Like, that doesn't work. This is bullshit. This is just a bunch of hippie shit so they can smoke weed. They don't realize that different things work for different people.
Yes.
You know, I had done CBD, like I think I had like a pen or some gummies to help me sleep, and it did okay. Someone was like, oh, you need THC, it'll be stronger. No, I did not like it. My body didn't react well to it. I don't like being high.
Yeah.
I never smoked weed. I've never smoked weed in my life, but a THC edible or in a food, I don't process it well. It got me extremely high. We actually had the bands that track your health and how you're doing. At one of those, and a friend of mine, we were all in a group, and she came up to me at the tournament next day. She's like, did you die last night? She goes, woke up this morning, was checking everybody's stuff, and was like, holy shit, what happened to Matt? And I looked at her. She's like, whoa, what happened to you? And they're like, all right, we gave him some stuff. And I mean, I barely ate any. Worst night of my life. But then a friend of mine he had made some CBD drops. That's what he does. It was like, try this plant. And so I have a specific plant at his house he grows for my drops. Works great for me. Don't know if it worked for someone else. 2 drops, I relax, I sleep like a baby. Doesn't put me to sleep, doesn't get me high. I don't feel any different from it. But 2 drops, by the time I walk in the other room, I'm like, wow, okay. But when we tried a CBD one, I felt like shit. It was just so different than having someone that can actually coach you through it, like what you're doing. That it was constantly, it was somebody that worked for me that smoked a lot of weed being like, all right, man, here's what you want to do. Yeah. And it just did not work. Whereas having someone to walk you through it, and I'm a big fan of coaches, and whether it's business, finances, and now pot, which is great because there's so many people I think can be helped by this stuff that it's amazing. My father has always had a bad temper in his older age. They put him on a bunch of stuff because he had heart issues. They didn't want him getting wound up. And someone talked him into smoking weed. And he's never told me he did it, but we see his lab results when they come back with THC in them. I don't know what he's done, but whatever. If it helps him, if it helps the pain, I'm a fan of it. I think there's a lot of natural things out there we can do to help our bodies. You've seen my page. I like ice baths. I'm big on ice baths. My ice bath is actually like this thick right now. I haven't been able to get in it. Yeah. It's killing me. I cannot break it. I went out the other day, was trying to break the ice. So that's really cool. So what have you found with it? Like, what was it you did through your experiences that really helped you the most?
Well,
I mean, everybody's story is going to be different.
Yeah, everybody's story is going to be different, and cannabis affects every person differently. Yeah. So what works for one person, and I think that's why I love what I'm doing, because I create and mix specific products for each individual person sometimes too. And so we are different, and we want to be different. I've noticed, so here is a little lesson. There's indica strains and there's sativa strains, okay? Indica strains are typically what you're going to do at night. That, you know, people say indica couch, you know, that's a one thing.
That sounds like
It's
something a stoner would say.
yeah, it's more for relaxation. A lot of our cancer patients, we also give indica because it stimulates their appetite. So a lot of times chemo radiation will take their appetite away. So the indica strains will help to promote their appetite again. They start gaining weight again, which improves their immune system. The other thing, too, is on the sativa strains. Those are going to be more that give you energy, wake you up, and things like that. I make THC oil, RSO oil, Rick Simpson oil. They call it all different things, but we make it ourselves. I learned how to do that when I went through my certification. And I do make sativa capsules and I make indica capsules. The sativa capsules I take every day. I have ADHD. It helps me stay focused all day long so that I can get my task done, because my body works really well from about 4 in the morning till about 3 in the afternoon. And after about 3, it's done. I have a hard time stringing sentences together. It's called fibrofog. So I get confused on things and stuff like that. So I know my body's limitations. So I'm up at 3:30 every morning and I'm downstairs and doing my thing and going and visiting people. And that's what I try to do for each one of my patients. I sit down with them. I think it helps. I have 10 years of health insurance experience, so I understand the medicines. I understand different health issues. And so we sit down and we talk and we're like, hey, no, I think you need to do a little bit of this and a little bit of this and a little bit of this. And they're like, oh, nobody's ever explained it like that. So everyone's going to be different.
Well, yeah, it's going to be a little trial and error. Yes. And like you said, sitting down and figuring out. Like I have ADHD. I take a prescription, basically amphetamine for it. It's the only medication I take. I don't take anything else. I don't even like to take pain pills if I'm sore. I don't drink. That's really it. I don't put anything. I don't drink soda. I just drink water. Like, very particular on that. So I had actually tried a gummy, but I think it was a sativa gummy. I didn't like it because I felt high.
Yeah, it did give you a head high.
It did give me a little head high, and I didn't like that with teaching. Probably could have adjusted to it. I was kind of playing with the dosage on what to eat, but I really had no direction. It was just a friend of mine said he had been on ADHD meds, and one of the ways to get off, because the pills are very addicting. And I was like, well, if I could find something that was natural to help with that, I'm very open to it, because I hate taking the prescription. I don't like to feel locked into anything like that. Sure. But I do know that mixed with a little caffeine, I'm able to focus and get my stuff done. Otherwise, I would say I have ADHD paralysis, which is like a big term where people just kind of sit around and won't do anything. But I will take a little while, procrastinate on things a little bit, because I can't get my brain kind of lined up whether I really need. And I actually, it was funny, the doctor that I used, we had a virtual call to kind of see how my stuff was going. And I said, I want to lower my dosage. And I broke it down for her, and ends up, she's really into wellness, which just blew me away because of her career path. Super into wellness. We discussed water. We discussed dietary things. And she was like, you know what? You're doing everything you could, because you're the only person to ever say, hey, can you lower my dosage? She goes, I'll see you again in 6 months. But blew me away was her understanding of the homeopathic and eating healthy, red dyes, things like that.
Yep.
Because I told her, I was like, none of this stuff's in my diet. I do testosterone. That's it. Like, I'm doing all these things to be healthy. I don't need this high of a dose. I said, we tried it. I feel like shit on it. Can I please, I'll give you the stuff back I got, but can I please go to a lower dose? And which is a good feeling. The fact she wasn't trying to like push it on me, because I've been to those doctors before. They're like, well, you need pill A, pill B, pill. They just line them out. It's like, oh my goodness.
And pill A causes this issue, but don't you worry, because we got pill B all ready for you.
Yes. And it's such a wild hypocrisy that we live in, that, you know, they've got a pill for everything.
Yes.
The one that blew me away was when shift work disorder came out. I was like, holy shit, they've come up with something for everything now. That was officially the last thing to check off. And I noticed as my parents are getting older, it's constantly, well, you need this pill, you need this surgery, you need this. It's like, Jesus, like, you guys just trying to break their insurance before they croak. Like, this is stupid.
It is.
So I love the fact this is healthy, it's natural. I think it's gotten such a bad rap because like we were talking before the podcast, you know, I'm 41. When I was in school, it was just say no to drugs. Potheads were bad. You know, the kids in the neighborhood that smoked weed all the time weren't very productive, but it's not the same thing that it is now.
No, it isn't. And here's the crazy thing. So it used to be that it was marijuana that was listed on the Schedule 1 drug. Now they've switched it. They quietly switched it to cannabis, which that pisses me off, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
If we could get into how corrupt things are.
Oh, it's all corrupt.
So what happened is, and the reason that they did that was, can I just be honest here?
Yeah, go for it.
Big Pharma's pissed that the hemp industry is taking away their customers.
Oh yeah, Big Pharma,
You know?
it's ridiculous. They can advertise the pills and the stuff that they put out there. It's just a joke.
It is.
You know, it's you go to these doctors and they automatically, I mean, they have reps that come in and push them to prescribe their medicines and different. It's the whole system.
And they financially compensate them, and that's a huge problem because now all of a sudden it became about money and it stopped becoming about getting somebody healthy.
No, and it's, you can't smoke weed or do this or that. That's terrible. But if you told someone you're going to give a 12-year-old CBD, they'd flip out.
Worst thing in the
You
world.
fucking hippie, you're going to get them high. But let's give them Adderall that is a methamphetamine. Get the fuck out of here. Like I have kids come in the school all the time and I'm like, because I'll work to death with a parent if they're trying to not medicate the child. I will go to ends that just disrupt class. I will work so hard if I've got a parent really working at it and trying to steer clear of just pumping the kid full of pills. But I get so sad sometimes when parents come in and they're like, yeah, things are going a lot better. And you're like, oh, who's this little zombie?
Yeah.
It's absolutely, years ago, and I learned this lesson from my old instructor. Vern was a lot older than me, and we had a kid that was wild. He's a pain in the ass, you know. He was my punishment to work with him because I broke a mirror, and that was Vern's way of getting out of dealing with him. Hey, you broke that mirror, go get Christopher. Shit. And mom had a foot broke and got them, I guess, to up the dosage, and that kid was a little zombie. We used to sit back there, and Vern came up in a different era, and he's like, it reminds me of the hippies on LSD and stuff. He said you could see that he's in his head, and there's some shit going on, but he's not on our planet.
Yep.
And we just used to shake our heads, and we felt so bad for him because I'd be teaching class, and I'd like elbow bump him a little bit. Back. I'm like, oh, back on Earth, are we? All right, let's go. And but it's what it's programmed into our minds.
Yep.
Don't do this, do that. You know, it's just wild. That's the science and the stuff that has come out with cannabis and everything, and the way they're suppressing all of it. And I mean, Joe Rogan, I think, is one of them that we can thank for a lot of the information that's gotten out. I've been listening to him for years on end, and that dude has been just beating the drum on this shit for years on all the uses for it and all the things that we can do with it. I mean, he talks about the first car made of hemp, like all sorts of wild stuff that obviously gets kicked right to the curb because it doesn't fit the big agenda. And the big pharma being such a, like they said, cancer will never go away. It's $1 billion industry. Why
they make a lot of money.
They
for
make a
people
lot of
to be
money. Why
sick.
do they want it to go away? And then if you really looked at our food source and our water and everything else, it's like, well, where the fuck's it coming from? Oh, well, right here's where it's coming from.
Well, and that's why we got into the dog stuff too. I'm convinced the stuff that's in the dog food is why these dogs have cancer. Out of our last 8 dogs, 5 of them have died of cancer.
Yeah.
Why is
Where's
that?
it coming from?
Why is that coming? You know, they found the endocannabinoid system in the early 70s when they were trying to prove how terrible marijuana was for you.
Oh, nice.
So, you know, it's kind of
ass.
funny. I mean, here's the thing, you know, when you look at cannabis, cancer patients. Let's just look at cancer patients. So they're given this diagnosis, and if they're over a certain age, forget it, just go on home and die because you're not worth the time or the money to get you healthy. But what happens when we make this oil and we give this to the cancer patients, and it's called a 90-day protocol. In that 90-day protocol, that first 30 days, they're kind of building up their tolerance to it because for the last 2 months, they're taking 1 gram of this concentrated cannabis oil every single day. It's potent and it's going to knock you on your ass. I mean, I just tell people for the next 90 days, just chill. Just sleep a lot, chill, but it's going to make a difference. So what happens is that cannabis oil goes into our body. And not only does it go after those tumors where they're at, but it wraps around every one of your healthy cells, and it puts a protective barrier around them. So if people do choose chemo or radiation, I always tell people that they have to make their own decision because they have to do what's best for them. I'm just here to offer another aid for them. And so what happens is the cannabis oil starts attacking the tumors, and it just changes the whole molecular DNA of the tumor. And then it cuts the blood supply off. Well, once it cuts the blood supply off, then the body's like, hey, what's this? What are you doing here? And it starts attacking it. When people use cannabis oil as part of their treatment, they don't go into remission anymore. Remission means cancer's laying dormant somewhere in your body, and it's going to come back again. We go into NED, which is no evidence of disease. So it's like they never even have it. So when I work with a lot of cancer patients, and we do the protocol, and then after we get through and they ring the bell or they get, a clear diagnosis, we still do a small dose of cannabis oil every single day and a big dose of CBD, CBG every single day. And they're like, well, why should I keep taking this? I said, because you want to keep your endocannabinoid system fully functioning. You have it functioning now. Why would you want to not do that anymore? And they're like, oh, well, that makes more sense. And so we're just educating people, sitting down. When we do that with cancer patients, it's called apoptosis. That means cell death.
Yeah.
Okay. Nobody talks to people about apoptosis. Why would you not? If you were an oncologist, why wouldn't you talk to your patients about apoptosis?
Well, yeah.
Why wouldn't you do that?
I'm Julie Forster with Crafty Midwestern Mommy, your local boutique embroidery and fabric store. I sell fabric as well as sewing notions and also teach classes. And then we also, on the other side of our business, do machine embroidery, custom apparel for local businesses, and just personalized gifts. Again, the store's name is Crafty Midwestern Mommy, and that's how you can find us on all social media platforms as well as our website.
And those are frustrating things to me. I meet people all the time with MS, with lupus and fibro like I have. And they're like, how are you functioning? If you looked at my MRI, I shouldn't be walking.
Really?
I should be in a wheelchair because I have bone on bone from L4 to S1. The stenosis has completely fused the right side of my spine, and it just shoved those discs out of the way. They can't even get a catheter wire up in my epidural space anymore to put steroids in there to control the inflammation or anything.
Wow.
And I was supposed to have surgery, and I went to the neurosurgeon, and when he walked in the room, he's like, huh. And I said, what? And he said, I assumed you'd be in a wheelchair. I looked at your MRI. I assumed you'd be in a wheelchair. He said, what are you doing? I said, it's cannabis. That's what I'm doing. And we had this very in-depth 15-minute conversation about cannabis. And so a year later, my husband massively ruptured his disc in his back, and it did require surgery, and we went back to him. And so when we were in the recovery room, he's like, well, I could prescribe you these pain pills, but I'm going to tell you, you just take what your wife has. And I think that's all you need. Well, he was supposed to be out for 6 weeks. We went back for the 3-week checkup, and he released him.
Wow.
To go back to work.
Made that big of a difference.
It made that big of a difference. And so it's fun for us. It's fun for us that chiropractors are now starting to send people to us because we go around and we talk to them. The government makes it very difficult for people to sell CBD in their, because it's not federally regulated or
and there's
whatever.
A lot of stuff put out there. Well, because it's not regulated, it's this or that, or you don't know what you're going to get. Or I remember when a lot of stuff first came out with something 9. What was the 9? I can't think of what it was called.
Well, Delta 9.
Delta 9
is your cannabinoid in the plant for THC.
Okay.
Delta 8 is something new. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan. And here's the problem is you have some people, in my opinion, that are trying to compete in the THC market with their CBD.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fan personally of Delta 8 because, and one of our farmers explained it to us. So they shake off the THC plant, and there's acid on this THC plant, and then they create a bath with this THC acid, and then they take the CBD flower and they dip it in there. That's what creates the Delta 8. Well, a lot of people don't understand Delta 8, and they don't understand Kratom, and they don't take it right, and
Yeah.
they have a huge, terrible experience.
Yeah.
Both of them, none of them are that great. Delta 8
Well,
has
you
its
know that because they
places.
started selling it in gas stations.
Yes. Oh my God. Don't even get me started about people that buy CBD at the gas station.
Yeah, I know. What I've been warned on it was you could buy like packages of it. There'd be like 8 gummies or whatever. And I remember them telling me one time that watch the gummies at the bottom because they spray it with the Delta 8. However that was, and I may be quoting it wrong, but they said the ones at the bottom always get a little more because they're in the bag. Those will kick your ass if you're not careful. And it's like, okay, so how well is this stuff? Like, what are we really getting from it? And that's been a big popular thing to put out. And it's like, well, in our society, people are like, oh, well, this big pharma company threw their label on it. The FDA said this is good. Let's trust them. But then we don't want to trust the local person down the street that actually cares.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going to somebody like Jay at Silent Bob at the gas station and buying your weed anymore. Or, the CBD Delta 9 Kratom shit they sell at the gas stations. We all know that, that ranges right up there with the erection pills and the yellow jackets and everything they sell. Like, none of it's any good. It's at the gas
Mollies
station.
And the black tea.
It's all shit. And I think that's where some people's experience, or some people are just hung up on the fact, like, I'll do my drops and Casey will be, the other day I'd done a couple drops. I was just really stressed at the end of the night. I was like, if I'm going to sleep, I got to do these. And she came in and kissed me. She's like, you taste like weed. She won't try them, even if she's stressed. And she has, we do the ice baths. I do it for stress. But she actually, when we had started dating, her knees would swell and everything. And a lot of it was diet, change her diet. They had told her she had an autoimmune. Didn't label it lupus, but it was an inflammation of the synovial fluid. And she'd have to have her knees drained. They'd lock up so bad. And this was in her early 30s that she couldn't walk up steps. Like, it would hurt. She won't take stuff. She's still got that little voice in her head. And I did the same thing too. I'm like, man, because I grew up, I've been a painter. I worked in construction. I worked around a lot of guys that smoked a lot of weed and were just fucking losers, to be honest. They just didn't do nothing. What are you doing? Oh, man, I got so high. And it's like, oh, that's so stupid. That never, just like people that got really wasted, I've never found it attractive. Now with everything that's coming out, it's there's so much more. And so you were saying CBG. What is that?
Okay,
Because I've never heard of
CBG
that.
is another cannabinoid. Cannabigerol is what it is. I think it's the best. Honestly, CBG was supposed to be the thing. And when they figured out that it was the thing, they're like, oh, no. Can't have that. You can have CBD. We'll let you have CBD.
Yeah.
That's okay. CBG regenerates cell growth. It regenerates bone growth. So my spinal, so I make these capsules with CBD and CBG.
Yeah.
My spinal stenosis has not progressed in 3.5 years. I was losing a disc every 9 months with that.
Really? And so this helps rejuvenate that?
Yep. We actually have a pet tincture with the CBD, CBG. We had a lot of older pets that couldn't go up and down the stairs anymore, couldn't get up in and out of the car. They started doing our tincture, and they're like, oh my God, this dog's like a 2 again. They're running up and down the stairs. They're jumping in the car. It regenerates that bone growth. It regenerates that cell growth. So it's going to keep the humans healthy, and it's going to keep the pets healthy. I can't say enough good things about CBG.
I'd never heard of it till this moment.
I put it in the capsules that I make on the THC side too, just because there are so many benefits on it. We're learning a lot about terpenes as well. Terpenes are just herbs. You find them in your plants, you find them in your foods. Well, they're starting to research all of these different terpenes too, and finding if they layer these terpenes, it has the same similar effects. And so there's a lot of terpenes in the cannabis plants. So when you start really breaking it down and looking at things, I mean, I could create capsules. My goal one day, is, and I'm going to have it.
Yeah.
One day I'm going to have my place called Canna for the Cure, and we will grow every strain of THC, CBD, CBG. We will grow every strain, and then when people come in, they're going to be able to sit down and talk with either a certified cannabis coach, or what I would really like is to have a couple nurse practitioners that are certified cannabis, and really sit down, review medical history, go over things, and then we have our own pharmacy and we can compound things because we've got everything and make medicine. And then while they're waiting, they can take a yoga class, they could take an education class, they can get a massage, and then I want to have a whole cafe so that people can come and network. They can come and do different things, but we want to break the stigma. We have our shirts, break the stigma. And that's what we want to do, because there's so many healing properties that people don't even know about because of the stigma.
Yes.
People Dare, was a great program.
That was all it was. Yep.
And that's all it was, to turn people.
Just say no drugs was the same thing. I did that
Nancy
in fourth
Reagan,
grade.
gotta love her,
Is that what that was?
Yeah, she started that whole thing.
I just remember doing it. And once we got to high school, being like, man, the kids are really good at just say no for drugs. Just learned where to get them.
Yeah, exactly.
And nowadays there's such a stigma to it on what it is. And there's so much good out there for it. It's just learning. It's like people like yourself. Like, I love the fact you're a cannabis coach. You're teaching people, you're explaining that and working with them. Because there's a lot of people like myself, I'd never heard of CBG. Yep. I thought I kind of knew a lot about it. I knew that I took CBD, it worked. I've tried others. I've tried gummies. I've tried this and that. None of that stuff really hit it for me. But not the same thing works for everybody. There's different mixes. There's different things. Like you've got, that infused bath salts?
Oh, these are amazing.
Remember,
do you know how many of these we go through and sell in a month? It's insane.
I listened to a podcast once. It was Joe Schilling, who's a fighter. And it was when the THC bath bombs came out.
Yeah.
And everybody
not the same effect.
No, but they were getting blasted on them. And I remember, because they were like, your skin's an organ, it absorbs it.
It's your biggest organ that there is.
And I've had a massage before where they use CBD oil in the massage. That just knocks you right out. But so what is that?
So these are our CBD infused bath salts, and we're actually adding magnesium flakes to complement them as well, because we're learning a lot. So Epsom salts pull all the toxins from your body, and they pull them from your feet. So we have a lot of people that are like, I'm not a bath person. I'm like, you don't need to be a bath person. Just fill yourself a tub with hot water and soak your feet in it. You're still going to get all of the benefits, because those Epsom salts, they reach all the way up to the top of your head, and they're pulling those toxins out. So there's times when my inflammation is real bad. I get in that tub, and within 2 minutes, the water is black. And it's just pulling toxins. And so I was like, well, wait a minute. What if we add CBD to it? So this actually is CBD and CBG, because I just want to put CBG in everything, because it helps people so much. We have had such huge positive feedback on these bath salts. They're like, oh my God, I slept better than I've ever slept before. Or, we have a eucalyptus clove that a lot of people use in the morning. So if they're really stiff and sore when they wake up in the morning, they'll soak in there for 15 minutes. Boom, it's gone. If I get a migraine, I soak in these bath salts for 15 minutes. My migraine's gone. I don't ever need any medicine. Didn't need anything.
Wow.
And so we're super excited about that. Our biggest one that we're excited about is our Koopy snacks.
Yeah. Oh, I love the name. I didn't even see the name.
So Cooper was our dog, and he was the total asshole dog in the neighborhood. We think he never was like that, but one night, my daughter designed that. She's absolutely amazing. She's done all of our branding. So
that looks great.
Yeah, she's just so incredibly talented. It's fun working with her, you know. But Cooper was the jerky dog in the neighborhood. And so when I was going through the certification, I was like, hey, maybe we should make some CBD treats for Cooper. And so we were like, well, it couldn't hurt,
Yeah.
And so we started making, and I just made them for him. That was it. I didn't make them, and my grand dogs, but I didn't make them for anybody. We didn't sell them or anything. And Cooper got cancer in his spleen, and it's a very rare thing. They don't even know why some dogs, but he was a rescue, so you don't know.
Oh, yeah, you don't have any history.
You don't have any history on him in anything. Well, we found out on Friday that he had cancer and he was gone on Wednesday. So we didn't really have any time to prepare for it or anything. Well, I was so sad when Cooper died, and there was other dogs in the neighborhood, and so I was like, well, let me just make some treats. They're like, dang, our dogs are really behaving. You should sell. I'm like, yeah, I made those for Cooper. You know, that's just kind of no. And so then my kids were like, no, Mom, I think you need to sell these. And I'm like, well, what would we call them? And my daughter's like,
That's
Coopy
cool.
Snacks, like
I love
Scooby
it.
Snacks. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's great. I love
that.
it. Yeah.
And so they started out that they were about this big, and they were 5 milligrams, and we were given. And then last summer we were a vendor at the Lincoln County Fair.
Yeah.
And this guy walked in and he's like, hey, do you bake your own treats? And we're like, yes, sir, we do. You know, I've put a commercial kitchen in the basement. So a little background of how we got there. We were in Illinois, and in 2020, we decided to sell our house, be done with the whole Illinois gig.
I would say it was probably the smartest thing you've ever done. Screw Illinois.
And, oh, yeah, don't even get me started. Well, 4 days before we closed on our house, we found out that our mortgage company had stole all our money for 15 years.
Wow.
So we thought we were walking away with a really nice bit, and we were going to, you know, buy some land and do stuff. Well, we had to start all over because they stole our money. And so we were renting a townhouse because our house had sold so quick. Thank God we'd found something that was a little bigger.
Yeah.
Man, that would have really sucked, you know? And so I started baking these treats in our townhouse. And then we decided we were going to move, and we moved out to Winfield, and we literally moved in, and I told my husband, I'm like, I think we need to put a commercial kitchen in the basement. He's like, I think you're crazy. And I said, well, I just think we should do this. And so we moved in on July 1st, and August 1st, we started construction, and we finished. And we thought we would have this big, huge space, and we have outgrown the space. That we were going in, they were supposed to go into one of the bigger grocery stores, and that's what brought about all of our packaging. And
so your packaging, all your branding on your stuff is on point. I'm a snob when it comes to that stuff because I watch people just do some stupid crap with their logos, just make some really, really silly errors that I find, and your stuff is so cohesive. It looks good. Everything, like, it's obvious it goes together.
Well, that 100% credit goes to my daughter. She's actually a graphic designer. She graduated from Lindenwood, and she's so incredibly talented. I keep trying to get her out from behind the computer, but she loves it back there. She does. And so we were pretty excited. We got the bag design. We were ready to go in the store, and we found out at the beginning of the year that stores decided that they're pulling all the CBD from their stores.
Nice.
And it's like, wow, okay, you know, so what are we going to do now? We've got this money invested. We got this bags invested. And so we're just going to make our shit happen on our own this year. So our goal is, right now we have it in our products are in 5 stores, but 3 that are actively selling. I want to be in 10 by June, and then by the end of the year, we want to be in 20 stores.
Congrats,
and
that's
just
awesome.
have people selling our products. And the biggest thing that we're doing this year is we're creating new events. So we're going to do these community wellness palooza parties, and basically bring the education to the community, invite people in, sit down. And so it'll be me talking for a little while. We have Mission Nutrition. She's going to talk for a while about the benefits of drinking healthier drinks and, you know, avoiding sugar. Yeah, she's awesome. Have a chiropractor in there and personal trainer in there. And then on the pet side, we're going to do some things where we coordinate with the rescues to create it as a fundraiser during an adoption event. But then I'll be there. We have a lady that has a pet sitting, dog walking business that'll be there, a dog trainer that'll be there. And we're hoping to start getting some vets to promoting. It's tough because of it not being FDA recognized and all that. But I'm going to get some vets.
That's awesome. That's a good, and you know, having a game plan. And so What made you kind of want to be so involved in the business of it? Was it just kind of falling into the using the THC and the CBD and all this stuff and then making it, and now it's like, okay, let's brand this out and build a business? Like that probably wasn't your first
No, it
inkling.
wasn't. My first inkling was just to help people. I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I figured this out, so let's help other people.
Yeah.
And so that it started there. How it just grew into the pet side of it when we lost Cooper, because then people are like, oh my God, these treats are working great. And then I told my daughter, I'm like, well, why don't we do a tincture? Because not
Yeah.
all dogs want the hard
Yeah.
treats, and everything.
Packaging is great.
It is, isn't it? It looks great. We spent a lot of money on the packaging, a lot of money on the testing. We're just excited.
No, it looks
helped-
great. Yeah, it's such a professional product and knowledgeable about it too. Like I always find like people do, you'll meet really talented people that really know what they're doing, but they don't have an eye for like the packaging. That's super important, what people see. You can't just make it up like it's at, there used to be a place downtown, a used clothing store called Hullapalooza. Hullapalooza. Yeah, I think I'm saying that right. You just can't look like you're just at a hippie head shop.
Yep.
It has to be promotable. It has to look professional. And it has to match. It has to all, like there's so many layers to have building a product or building a business that it's great to see that you guys have thought that stuff out. And like I would not see this at a store and think it's just locally made in Winfield. I would think, oh, what big corporation's doing these? Like I would not think that with the packaging and stuff, that this isn't something on a much larger scale, which is a compliment. One of the biggest compliments I've ever got with my businesses with the Academy and the painting company. I had somebody stop me and was like, so, is this part of a franchise with the painting company? Cause I had my truck and my everything matched and was cleaned. And I was like, no, but thank you. And they're like, what? I was like, no, it's a local business here in town. I designed all this stuff. And wanted to look this way for a reason. Same thing in my Academy. When you come in, people think it's branded out like a franchise.
Right.
There's a lot of people, they start their own school. Everything's whack-a-mole. It looks like whatever. Everything in mine is branded. That took me years. That's something I take a lot of pride in. And obviously you guys do too, because this looks great and you would think it's so much more bigger than that, which is awesome because that means it's going to grow to be something much more bigger than that.
I believe so. I have to say, and I know I'm her mom and I totally brag on her all the time.
Yeah.
Her level of talent is amazing. And we work so well together because I can, like with the book, I was like, okay, Bailey, I want it to say these things. Here's some content. Here's some books.
Yeah.
She's learned so much. And
this is great.
We really love what we're doing. I can't tell you how many times people say, wow, nobody's doing what you're doing. We're like, we know, we like that. We want that. We want that to be different. We want to be those people that when your dog's sick or your dog's hyper or you have a lot of aches and pains, we need to call those girls at Wellness Palooza because they know what they're doing. That's the brand we're building, that we want to be different. We want to help people. We give away so much product all the time. And you just know, when you're sitting down with somebody, when they really need your help, but they don't have the money, you just know that you're supposed to give them that.
And help them out.
And help them out and help them start getting better. And I don't know. It's crazy. Every morning I just lay my hands on my Bible and I'm like, okay, God, I don't know what we're doing today. I have my schedule booked, but I know you're going to change it. And every day he changes it. And I feel he just guides me to who needs our help the most. And so we just go with it. I don't question it. I just go with it. And, we have some relationships with some amazing farmers. Our main farmers are Grandpa's Family Farms. They're in Chamois, right outside of Herman. We have learned so much from them.
Really?
And then we've just met other people. We're very active with the Missouri Hemp Trade Association. They're very big with the legislation side. They're actually trying to put through a bill right now. And I'd hoped I'd had some better talking points, so I'm just kind of winging it today. But they're putting through a bill because the dispensary side, they want it so that you can only buy CBD at the dispensary.
Oh, I bet. Oh, I
Well,
bet that'll be the next thing, try to regulate the
yeah.
hell out
Well,
of it. Yeah.
FDA is trying to do that too. FDA is trying to get rid of any smokable, vaping, edibles. They will basically want you to get it in a transdermal patch or in a inhaler for like asthma.
Okay.
That's it. So the Missouri hemp trade's going hard against that, and they do some amazing things. But they put together a bill, and they're like, no, you don't do that this way. We're out here, we're out to help people. What you need to improve on is your packaging. Quit making your packaging look like kids' candy so
Yeah.
that they get confused and they take the wrong thing.
Yeah.
You know, the same with the Delta 8, and there's so many things that are done wrong that I love seeing Missouri hemp trade working to make them right.
Nice.
You
Yeah,
know?
making them look like gummy bears. My
Yep.
I couldn't get a hold of my dad for a couple days. I was like, all right, day 3, I'm gonna have to go over there. And I looked out front. I was working on a car I had, and his girlfriend pulled up. She comes in the garage. She's like, I gotta talk to you about your dad. I'm like, oh fuck, what happened? Because he's 81. And she started giggling. I'm like, what? My dad's never smoked weed. He's 81. He grew up in the 60s. He got a little confused on his meds, and they had bought him some type of gummy bears. But honestly, it was probably one of the generic store-bought CBD gummies. He ate the whole bottle. He poured it into a bowl and sat there just snacking on gummy bears. He was, I was dying. She's like, come out to the car and see him. I'm like, oh my God. He's like, I feel pretty good. She's like, yeah. He's like, what should I do? I was like, you're going to sleep a lot.
Yeah.
You're going to sleep for a couple days, and then you're going to feel wonderful when you wake up probably. And I just looked at her and I was like, why? And she's like, I didn't think he'd get them mixed up. But again, like you said,
Yep.
the packaging,
It's the
they look like a
packaging.
kid's gummy bear snack.
Yep.
That's ridiculous. Like why? And they're all marketed like a candy. They're all marketed in a fruity, fun,
Yep.
hip way, not like a medication,
No.
not like something to be taken seriously. Cause even like the gummies that I bought was like an orange, and they were like an orange pouch, and I forgot what was on them. They were like a tangerine flavored or something. It was
Mhm.
very candy, like very attractive to youth that probably don't need to be snacking down a whole bag of them thinking they're candy.
Right.
I never even thought of that till you said it. I was too impressed. I just really liked your
Yeah.
packaging. Like I said, branding and how a product is seen is so important. And some people catch that, like yourself, and you guys have someone to work with and make it. Other people try to do everything themselves in the beginning, do it all themselves, and really botch it up. And I think there's been a lot of good ideas or good things kind of go by the wayside. Or I've watched people that are really good at the branding part, but they're just not really good at the product part.
Yeah.
Like it's not often that those people meet in the middle and can create something really neat like this. You have the passion for it, you have the understanding of it, and then the branding part looks great. I mean, the stuff looks amazing.
It does.
And you guys are doing it out of your commercial kitchen in Winfield.
Yeah.
And that's what's so cool about this podcast I'm enjoying is I wouldn't have known that.
Right.
Even if we were in a networking group and it was your week to do your 10-minute presentation, which I'm not shitting on networking. I would have learned about it that day, but then may have forgot about it later because we wouldn't have heard the whole story. That's what I'm finding so fun about this is the backgrounds and the stuff that goes into so many of the businesses and the different products you offer. I mean, what all is it in here? Like all the different lines and
Yeah.
everything?
So we have on the pet side, we have the Koopy snacks, of course, and then we have our pet tincture. We have a full ounce and a half ounce. And these have been really catching on for so many reasons. And now the cool thing is I have a couple people that are like, hey, could you create a tincture for our horses? And I was like,
Oh,
hey, let me do a little checking. Well, I learned in my research that horses take half the dose that a dog takes.
really?
Now, would you have thought that?
Nope. I was thinking the size of the
would've-
capsule has got to be amazing.
I was thinking
That's
the
exactly
same
what I
thing.
was thinking. That
But-
wow, the amount of product a horse is going to need.
Yeah, but-
I was thinking that jar, but a capsule.
Yeah,
To be honest, that was where my brain went with it.
right. But so we have the tinctures, we have that we make a peanut butter too. I'm not real happy with the consistency of the peanut butter because the CBD oil makes it thinner. So
Oh,
I
okay.
pull it off the shelves a lot, and stuff. But if somebody wants some, I have a couple people that my dog just absolutely loves that peanut butter. I'll just make it for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And stuff. But and then on the human side, we have our CBD, CBG capsules, and then we make our bath salts. We have fun things like for Valentine's Day, we're doing CBD infused chocolate covered strawberries.
Oh, cool.
We had CBD infused hot cocoa bombs at Christmas time. Our CBD infused Chex Mix is a huge hit. People love that. Then we have some of our products that Grandpa sells. They have a 2,500 milligram pain salve. Absolutely the best pain salve you'll ever use in your life.
I've heard of that. I've heard the pain salves of the CBD is just amazing.
It is amazing. And then we carry their gummies as well. But we keep our products low. We focus on education.
Yeah.
We want to make the products that we have really good to keep people coming back. But we're really, really excited about these events that we're going to do this.
That'll be
with
a
Diamonds
huge
in
way.
a Rough and Metro East Humane Society, because that's where we got Cooper. So we always do stuff with them, and just we want to create programs where you're having a new baby and people get all stressed out. What do? They give their dog away.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Here, come to one of our seminars. We're going to teach you how you can use CBD. Yep. Then the dog trainer's going to give you a few tricks and trades, and then this lady can come and walk your dog for you, and don't give away your pets because you're having a baby or you're moving, or so many people got dogs during COVID and now they have to go back to work in a real office and their dogs are freaking out.
I didn't even think about
tearing
that.
things up. Come talk to us. Let us help you.
Yeah.
Keep your pets. And so the rescues are super excited that we're doing it from that approach because nobody's doing that,
Well, and by you guys educating and getting the content out there, your biggest trick is your biggest thing to be successful isn't going to be just selling the CBD. It's going to be educating people so they understand it and breaking that stigma.
Yep.
Breaking that down. That was one of the things that I wanted to do, or I did in the beginning with the painting company. Everybody can paint. Might not look as good as a professional does it, but everybody can do it. So why are you hiring us? Well, you're hiring us to save yourself time. You're hiring us for the help. It was one of the things I approached realtors with. As a realtor, you got a lot on your mind, a lot on your plate. When you hire Boyer Painting, I take over that customer for you. My office, my wife handles them, and our crews take care of the house. We understand that you're selling the house, so we're not going to push them to paint it yellow or green.
Right.
We're going to explain to them to paint it a neutral. I'm going to work with them. Hey, you know what? The floors pull a little brown. Let's go more tan instead of gray. Like, basically, you hand them off to me, and then you can go on with what you're doing. And that was a big selling point. I had so many agents were like, yep, good. And I was like, well, do you know what I charge? Nope, don't care what you charge. I am slammed. I'll send you their information. Text me when the house is painted. And I'll shoot them, hey, just wrapped everything up for Bonnie, whatever. And that was our big selling point. And then educating, I would go around and speak to realtors about the products and what we do and how our process works. And it blew the doors off.
Yep.
Because of educating and teaching the people. I didn't need to post Facebook videos showing how good I cut in. I do some of that now only to show people that I still can paint.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, oh, well, you're just making reels and teaching martial arts. You don't actually paint. No, I still paint several days a week. And I'm still good at it.
Yep.
And and I do that to remind them that I'm not just somebody, because there are so many frauds on social media. I'm not just pandering. I really am out there building. I have built the business. I'm still working in the business, but I can also help them. So by you hosting these events and coming up with different ways to educate and reach that clientele and not trying to just sell them, but educate them. If you follow a lot of Andy Frischella stuff, that's how they built supplement superstores and First Form, educating people, putting products in their hands, getting the usefulness of the products. That's how they built that up, not just trying to sell you on why their product was best.
Right. Yeah.
And it sounds like you're really on the right path with that and with the different products and everything that you offer. I mean, now, do you have like a huge variety of stuff? I watch a lot of people get something where they can do a bunch of stuff with it. And it's like, oh, what all do you got? And they give you a whole book of stuff to pick from. Or do you try to keep it narrowed down a little bit to the things that you found that works and are maintainable for you?
We keep it narrowed down. And the reason being is if you have too many choices, it becomes so overwhelming.
Yes.
You know,
That's why I asked.
Yeah, we know that our CBD, CBG capsules work really well. I have to take them at bedtime because CBD makes me really sleepy. The CBG kicks in over more than the CBD for my daughter. She takes them every morning because they give her energy all day long. So we know we have that. We know we have the bath salts. We know that we have the pain salve.
Yeah.
You know, I'm working with another small business owner, and we're coming up with a spray and maybe a balm that has the magnesium in it with the CBD and the CBG, because I want to create, we've been doing a little bit of research that if you put this balm on the bottom of your feet, it helps kids sleep better at night. And so there's a lot of healing benefits with magnesium. So we're trying to pull those in.
Magnesium's super important. I think people forget that about the Epsom salt baths. That is your number one way to get magnesium, or go floats.
Yes.
Floating. I love floating, but it's too much of a drive. I don't do it as much anymore. But for me, that I could feel the difference in my body and my muscles and it was all about the absorption of that magnesium in those salts.
And so many people are magnesium deficient.
Yes.
Especially migraine sufferers. They have no idea that they're so deficient in magnesium. And so, you know, we just want to, I don't want, you know, to have all these products.
Yeah, no.
I just want people to be able to say, oh, okay, no, this will work. Here's the human side, here's the pet side, you know.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Because the education is the key. If they don't have the proper education, they can't make an informed decision, is my thought process. And I want people to make a informed decision. I've offered several of the dispensaries, let me come on the floor with your patients so that they buy the right, I'm not saying pay me money, nothing, just let me provide the service. Questions. And they all told me no.
Yeah, when I've been in, because I went in and got the sativa ones to try to get off of Adderall.
Yeah.
I take, I can't think of it. It's a quick dissolve one. It's one of the newest ones on the market, and it works great. They were like, oh, you probably want this. I'm like, well, what? You know, and they kind of gave me a little bit of info, but it really wasn't from an educational standpoint. It was more guessing. It wasn't very helpful. And so something like that to where you could go in, consult with someone and talk about it, and then direct you in the right direction. But they're just making money hand over fist at those places. I knew so many people
that's why their names change a lot too.
Yes, that were just jumping into that business as fast as they could. If you had money, I had several people approach me with my businesses about being a partner in them, and I've just always had the understanding of I don't know shit about it, so I'm not going to. And I had asked about your variety. I've always kept my business simple. I teach Taekwondo. That's it. We do a little kickboxing. I have experience in it. The painting company, we just paint. I've had people I know over the years offered us to come in and take over huge commercial projects for big tilt-up buildings and stuff. And I'm like, no, thanks. Oh, why not, man? Never done one before. Not interested in learning now. I'm keeping it where I know in my lane. And I find people get into business, make a little money, or they're just looking for other avenue streams that just add, and then they've got 400 things they don't know what to do with. Or restaurants, you go in, they give you a Bible full of what they serve. It's like, no, man, I just want one sheet to pick from. You got a burger, you got a grilled cheese. What do you got? Like, let's keep it simple for me, so I can keep it straight.
Yep.
And so that's great that you're not trying to be like, oh, we've got this too. Oh, you want your nails to grow? We've got this. Or, oh, let's do that. You don't have 400 million products, which is great. And to be honest, to me, builds more confidence in what you're doing, because you're not just trying to shove everything out of a catalog down. This is stuff you're making for a reason. It's not an MLM. It's nothing like that.
Done that.
I think all of us that are driven have done one at one point. I sold Visalis at one point. I didn't do very good at it. I do love Ryan Blair's books. His second book about how Visalis failed and why it failed was super interesting as someone that was around it when that went on.
Yeah.
I understand.
I remember.
Yeah. He wrote a book, basically the cereal. They made this delicious cereal, and it was just too expensive. It was what really crushed it. His second book was he's really well read. Both his books are really good.
I'll have to check them out then.
Yeah, they're really good. I'll send you the titles. I think
Yeah.
I got both of them at home. And very interesting book on business, very common sense. He was in like a gang or some shit. Like he was a tough dude, got into it. Like sometimes you read those business books and it's like, wow, this person's really fucking smart and they wrote this book to show me that I'm not. His book is just a great read. It's just a good read. It's makes a lot of sense. I would say I got more out of that than a lot of books that I've done. But
yeah, definitely send them. I love reading. I love
that's
learning and improving. And
me and the kids talked. We're going to get a couple bookshelves to put up next to the TV. We're going to move some things around because my son keeps getting books and is very into it. And I'm always ordering new books. Casey's always like, dude, it's in our package here. Ooh, that's this book. Put it with my stuff. I got to get to it. So we want to put them up and display them because I want to start ordering. I try to order, like at Christmas time, all my instructors got some type of a book. And if I'm invited over to someone's house or something, I have a book, and it's something I want to start doing with the podcast where everybody gets a book as a gift when they come on. Like there's things I want to do. It just hasn't fallen into place, but I don't drink or anything. So I give a book.
Yeah.
If it's someone's birthday, if it's something and I'm going to an event, I always take a book, and it's something I've really gotten into doing. Made that decision about a year ago.
I think that's awesome.
It's really neat. It's fun, and I try to make sure too that I know the person I'm giving it to, and I'm giving them something that I think they'll actually get benefit out of. I'm not just giving them a book to give them a book.
Right.
One of my goals down the road is to write one. So I like to read a lot of them. I like to give them out, and I know that one day I'll be able to like hand out my own. But this is great. So what is before we wrap up, like what's the next step for you guys? Like what are you wanting to do next?
Well, we're really working on building these events. That's our biggest thing. I've got back-to-back meetings. No, we're starting them, but we haven't got them set up yet. But I have back-to-back meetings this week trying to work with Metro East Humane Society, the Dogs of the Brave, and Diamonds in the Rough. Those are the three that we're going to start with. And
Do they spell rough, R-U-F?
Yeah, R-U-F-F.
That's cute. It just hit. I was like, that's an odd name, and it just hit me.
You know what? They have done some amazing things.
That's cool.
Last weekend with that frigid temperatures, they rescued 91 dogs.
Wow.
91.
That's
it's amazing.
crazy.
Yeah, and they just do some cool things. My biggest thing is I want to be a positive impact in the community, and create a lasting legacy in hopes that all my kids want to take this business over, because I tell my daughter all the time, I'm like, I'm 55. I don't really want to work forever. I kind of like to build this up so maybe me and your dad can go play for a little bit, and so I really have worked hard the last year. We were first year out there. We made we won the best CBD company. So that was really exciting because it's like, okay, we're doing the right things.
You're getting
God
noticed, you're getting traction.
Here. We're getting traction. We've got some products in some of the stores. I want to branch out and get, in some other areas. And I just want to become a household name. That's my next goal.
That's awesome. That's an amazing goal. Well, let's end on that. It was a pleasure having you on. That is an awesome goal. This has been eye-opening. And like I said, that's what's so cool about this, because I really try not to research any of the guests if I haven't really looked up what your guys' businesses are, just so it is a learning experience for me too. So thank you guys for tuning in today. We have had a great time learning about all these products and talking to another wonderful business owner here in Lincoln County. So like, share, and subscribe. And as our sponsors come out, make sure to support them, and have a great day. Thank you to our sponsors, K. Flynn Insurance, elect Bruce Becker for the Lincoln County Fire Board, and the Crafty Midwestern Mommy for their continued support of the Lincoln County Podcast.